Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Shevchik. Today we are going to be talking about age problems. Not about getting older, but about how we can write and solve an equation from a story problem that asks you to calculate a person's age. So here we go. Our first problem says, Linda is 7 years older than Tom. The sum of their ages is 117. How old are Linda and Tom? And for all the problems we're working with today, we'll be writing an algebraic equation, solving it, and showing all of our steps. All right, so let's get started. So we know that we have Linda and we have Tom. All right, and let's take a look at what we know about them. It tells us that Linda is 7 years older than Tom. Well, geez, if only we knew how old Tom was, we could figure out Linda's age, right? Well, in math, when we don't know something, we can use our variable. Let's use t for Tom. All right, well then if Linda is 7 years older than Tom, she would have to be t plus 7. All right, so now if Tom is t years old and Linda is t plus 7 years old, then we know the sum of their ages is 117. Well, I know sum tells me that I'm adding. So I'm going to now kind of put this all together to say, well, Tom is t years old plus, be careful with your t's and your pluses, Linda is t plus 7 years old, and together their sum is 117 years old. Hey, look at that. Now we have an equation that we can solve. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to shrink this down a little so we have some space here, and this part is just like everything else we've been doing. We're going to combine our like terms. I have t plus t, that's 2t. Bring down your plus 7 equals 117. And then we're going to subtract 7 off both sides, and we have 2 times t equals 110. And then final step, divide by 2 on both sides to get that variable isolated. And I find out that t is 55. So how does that help me answer the question of how old are Linda and Tom? Well, let's see here. If t is 55, and we previously said that Tom is t, then that means that Tom is 55 years old, and Linda is 7 years older. So Linda then has to be 55 plus 7, which is 62 years old. In order to check if our answer is correct, what we can do is just add Linda's and Tom's together. And I see we get an answer of 117, so we know that our answer checks. Our next problem tells us that Ryan is 6 times older than Adeline, and the sum of their ages is 49. We're looking to find out how old are Ryan and Adeline. All right, so we have two people here. We have Ryan and we have Adeline. And we need to know how old each of them are. So I have to figure out, well, what do I know about each of them right now? Well, I can see that Ryan is 6 times older than Adeline, but I don't know how old Adeline is, do I? We're going to call Adeline's age A. This right here is called defining our variable because we're saying what our variable represents. Okay, we're saying that A represents Adeline's age. And if that's the case, then Ryan, who's 6 times older, 6 times as old, has to be 6 times A. Okay, well now we have expressions to represent both Ryan's age and Adeline's age, and it tells us back in the problem that the sum of their ages is 49. So now we can pull this all together and say, okay, well, we know sum tells us that we're using addition. And so if Adeline's age is A plus Ryan's age is 6A, the sum of their ages is 49. Now I've got an equation here I can solve. We have A plus 6A equals 49. Well, remember, A is just like having 1A. We don't usually write that, but we can. And that 1A plus 6A makes 7A, and 7A equals 49. So to get A by itself, we divide both sides by 7, and we find out that A equals 7. So if we're going to use that then to answer the question of how old are Adeline and Ryan, what we do is we say, okay, A is 7. So we already defined Adeline as our A. So we're saying Adeline is 7. And then it says Ryan is 6 times older. So Ryan is 6 times A, 6 times 7, which is 42. So Adeline is 7, Ryan is 42. If I add those together, I get a sum of 49. So I know that my answer checks. And the final one we'll do together reads, Steve is 4 years older than twice Jonna's age. The sum of their ages is 97. How old are Steve and Jonna? All right, again, I like to pull out the information that we know. And I know that we have 2 people. We have Steve and we have Jonna. And then I'm going to reread to see what it is that we know about them. We know Steve is 4 years older than twice Jonna's age. Well, I don't know what Jonna's age is, do I? So if we knew Jonna's age, we could find Steve's age. So what we'll do is I'm going to use J for Jonna. Well, then Steve is 4 years older than twice her age. So, well, twice her age would be 2 times J, and 4 years older than that would be 2J plus 4. And then we know also that the sum of their ages is 97. So given that information, we can go ahead and write an equation to figure out how old Steve and Jonna are. So I'm going to take Steve's age, which is 2J plus 4, and I'm going to add Jonna's age, which we said is just J. And when we put those together, we get a sum of 97. And now let's solve that equation to figure out their ages. 2J plus J equals 3J. And we still have plus 4 here, equals 97. If I take 4 off of both sides, I have 3J equals 93. And I divide each side by 3 to figure out that J equals 31. So that tells me that Jonna is 31 years old. And then Steve is 2 times 31 plus 4. So that would be 62 plus 4, which would be 66. So Jonna's 31, Steve is 66. And then to check if we're correct, we can just make sure we do 31 plus 66 and make sure that we get what we started with up here, 97, and it works. So we know that our answer is correct. All right, we've come to your favorite part of the videos, which is your turn to give it a shot. So this question says, Becky is 7 years older than 3 times Jesse's age. The sum of their ages is 99. How old are Becky and Jesse? So I would like you to write an algebraic equation to represent this, solve that equation, check and see if you are correct, and then push play to come back and see if it matches what I have. All right, are you ready? Let's check it out. All right, the information I pulled out was that Becky is 7 years older than 3 times Jesse's age. So I used a J for Jesse, and then for Becky I did 3 times J plus 7. That would be 7 years older than 3 times his, and then I put that the sum of their ages is 99. So the equation I wrote for that would then be 3J plus 7 plus J equals 99. In other words, we've got Becky's age plus Jesse's age equals the total, which is our sum. And when I go ahead and solve that equation, I see that J equals 23, meaning we now know Jesse's age. Jesse is 23 years old. And then Becky, we know, is 3 times Jesse's age plus 7 more. So I'm doing 3 times 23 plus 7. And when I do that, I get 69 plus 7, which is 76. So Becky is 76. Jesse is 23, and if I were to add those together, I would have a sum of 99. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.